Good, good to go. All right, Coach, we will start off with you giving some statements, whatever you want to say, and then we'll open it up for a bunch of questions. Go right ahead.
Well, good to see everybody again. It's been a while. Hope everyone's doing well. Obviously, it's been since I think our last game of the season, so just wanted to be available, to update anybody or, answer any questions, relative to the program. So I think it's more an open forum for you guys if you want to, ask me anything. I think the one topic that I will avoid today is just our assistant coaching situation right now, and I know there's some things that are out there in the media and speculation about that, and but I'm not going to comment on it. But things are going well in that area. I'm very excited about just things we're doing with our relative to our coaching staff, and I'll get you guys more information on that as I'm able to share that with you. So. But otherwise, anything about the roster, any of the new players, I'm open to discuss the team as you guys see fit.
Chris, Michelle, Doug, go ahead.
Bobby, it's felt like a whirlwind with your roster overhaul in recent weeks. Can you just kind of go over what you were trying to accomplish, how you think you did, and how it fits into the statement that you made about just wanting to find players that you feel like you want to go to war with?
Well, I think, Chris, we knew this year there was going to be change, especially with the new one-year transfer being implemented. You're seeing it nationally. It's not only at Arizona State, and just wanted to have honest conversations with our players to really see who truly wanted to move forward in the program, and which guys wanted to explore their options. I think as a coach at this level, and a guy that's played at a very high level, you don't get these 4 years back. So it's a one-time experience. So certainly we want to have our guys committed to Arizona State basketball who are here, and other guys that want to move on. That's certainly their choice, and we wish all the guys that have decided to go to other places nothing but the best in the future. I think that being said, I've worked as hard as I probably worked in an off season that I could remember, in terms of not wanting it to end when it did, and trying to do something about that so that we're not in this situation again. My goal is to never go through a season like this again, and there's no guarantees or promises about that, but certainly I think our staff, myself, worked extremely hard to try and change some things, to evaluate not only the talent of the players we were getting involved with, but just finding out about them and what they value, and hopefully winning was a big ingredient in that. And I think across the board with AJ Brahma and Marion Jackson and DJ Horn, all those, and Jay Heath, all those guys really talked about wanting to be in a winning situation, and two of those guys only have one more year and really want to be successful, have a chance to try and win championships and play in the NCAA tournament.
Yeah, Coach, obviously lack of depth in the front court was an issue last year, and it looked like you really did address that and got some really good players there. Can you kind of talk about, maybe, is this the best that you guys have been in the front court depth-wise in your years there?
I think it's pretty exciting. It's certainly, Kamani's announcement last night was, even added to that, which we were super excited about. I think he's the way he played the second half of the year, the last 10, 12 games, really could springboard, what he'll do this bonus season, and certainly provide a guy that could provide leadership and understands the system and the expectations, and has been around me a number of years. So I think having him make that announcement was huge. But Enoch Bioke from Canada really got things going for us. He was the first guy to commit, and he was an important part of getting some momentum in recruiting. And he's a guy that's a 4 or 5 star, however you look at it. but someone that's a physical specimen that really can rebound, defend the basket. He's 6'10", 250 pounds. So just having someone that has that size, that girth, I think is going to be important. And I know my conversations with Jalen Graham, he's very excited to have Enoch on board to help him in the paint. And it's going to provide an opportunity for Jalen to expand his game a little more and work on some things in the off season to step away from the basket. And so that was important. And, AJ Brahma is a guy that's, put up numbers, 21 points, 10 rebounds. Rebounding is a skill I think that will travel and translate very well to what we're doing. And that was an area we were very deficient last year. We finished, I think, 342 in the country in rebounding last year. And that's not going to put your team in a position to have the success that you need. So, I think AJ coming on board right after Enoch certainly sent a message of the importance of adding some quality players and good people to the front court that can take care of the paint. And you're going to love Enoch, AJ too. I just spoke with AJ a little while ago. I think you guys are going to like those guys quite a bit. Very charismatic guys. And Enoch specifically really has his act together for a high school kid that has the accolades he has and the rep. Just doesn't carry himself like that. Reminds me a lot of Lou Dort, just with talking about work ethic and earning everything and the humility that he has. So I'm hoping this time around Canada will be as good to me as it was with Lou Dort. So he's certainly a guy that we're very excited about.
Bobby, with all the transfer guards coming in, Luther Muhammad maybe has gotten a little bit overshadowed. What role do you play for, or do you see for him next year, if you can say this early? And also I wanted to ask you specifically about one of your other incoming freshmen, Jemiah Neal. Just what kind of player is he?
Yeah, so with Luther, I kind of knew about him and watched obviously the film at Ohio State and knew about him as a high school player, being from Jersey City, where I'm from. But he went through his shoulder procedure, which was very successful during our season, and he was an active participant all year, just very vocal in practice, even though he couldn't participate, and just very enthusiastic about the game. And so that immediately got my attention. But I think what even got it more was when we got back to our spring workouts. We had about 3 weeks of individuals with the guys that were healthy that could do it. And Luther made quite an impression on me. I kind of singled him out to the group as just someone, how refreshing it is to see a guy that loves to be in the gym, that is communicating, that is serious about his game. And, and he reminded me, I couldn't quite figure out if he reminded me more of Rob Edwards, because Rob was a gym rat, or if it was Zylan Cheatham, because he would light up the gym when he would walk in, just being so enthusiastic about being there. So he's going to bring, I think, a lot of intangibles to the team. And I think he's got really good versatility. And I think he's going to be able to show more offensively than he might have been able to at Ohio State. But he brings, he's a dog. He's got that right mentality, just how he went after it for those couple of weeks in the workouts. So I think that's going to translate well to, our overall mental toughness as a team, which I think is going to be important. Jemiah, I think, is a very exciting prospect. And again, I foresee him playing very early in his career and having a very good role in what we're doing. And because, again, he's very athletic, he's versatile, he could play multiple positions. And he's a guy that's developing. I think he was, an under the radar type of player. And I think he's got a very bright future in what we're doing.
Bobby, when you have to replace so many players and also do it with also some assistant coaching staff, a lot of people just picture they're alone in the foxhole pretty much, maybe missing some Peloton sessions, some desert hikes, just because they got to spend all this time on shaping the roster, hiring assistants. You said after last year that somebody should write a book about the season that you had last year. What would the book look like just the last 4 or 5 weeks for you personally with all these personnel movements?
Well, I mean, I've done some things very unconventional that I haven't done before. I mean, I'm so motivated and hungry based on the taste of last season and that left in my mouth. I was like, I'm not revisiting that again. So, you know, it took a couple of days because I felt exhausted after the season, felt drained, but then got busy as kids were announcing they were going to the portal, and just was very aggressive on the phone. And even though Coach Berno took his position, there were quite a few consultations, I'll call them, with Coach Berno. And Coach Coleman was terrific with me as well, as he is sorting out the next steps for him. So those guys, even though they departed, we were very much in touch with each other and communicating. But when I go and say further, I mean, I have a whiteboard in my living room, and again, that had the roster on it. It had potential recruits that we were talking with. It had an assistant coaching pool. So it was a detailed board that you know, even when I wasn't in the office, I was staring at it and I was making adjustments as things were changing. So, you know, if you had a before and now of what that looked like, it would be a pretty unique situation. So, again, very motivated, very happy with some of the things that have happened, but it did feel like you know, maybe Survivor or something a little bit. Like, was I going to be, you know, the last guy on the island at one point? But as you know, kids started really believing in what we were doing, and we were getting closer with some coaches we felt great about, you know, everything started coming into focus, and just really excited about it.
Kent, you're up.
Was looking back on it now, Bobby, was any part of that enjoyable? Were you able to enjoy anything at the time, and or would you ever want to go through it again?
I think it's going to be what college basketball is like moving forward. This is now a new era, and again, it's student athletes are going to have the same rights as everyone else to maneuver and have a chance to figure out, you know, what's best for them, and so it's going to be the new world, and you got to be ready for the second season. You go through a season, you got to bounce back and be prepared. I'm not sure it'll be to the extent that it was this year in terms of the turnover and the transition year in and year out, but there were a lot of things to work through. There were days you felt good about steps you were making and strides you were taking. Other days, I'm not sure if this is going to come together or not. So it was a roller coaster ride, really, the last 6 weeks or so. But it's brought us, I think, to a pretty good place. It's put me in a really good frame of mind. The coaches I'm talking to are as motivated as I am to build something special here, and so it's an exciting time for me. And I think the players are eager to get here in June and start training and having a true off season. And again, not having that last year, it was, you know, I think it hindered the development of a team that you need in a natural sense that I've been accustomed to my whole career. So I have no idea what this team's going to look like. And I usually say that now, and got a lot of good pieces, a lot of, you know, veteran players, and some good, you know, incoming freshmen, and some returning guys that I could build with. But I'm really looking forward to June and July to be able to see what our team is probably going to look like in November.
Bobby, kind of following off of that, I'm sure that this year is super unique as far as the amount of turnover here and across the country. But what do you think of that kind of as the future in general, the relevance of the transfer portal and people being able to play immediately, and like, how much is this going to change college basketball, and do you think ultimately it's going to be a positive?
I think it's here to stay. I think, again, as I touched on earlier, you only get to do this for 4 years as a college student athlete. So, you know, there are going to be guys that aren't thrilled or aren't happy or aren't patient, or whatever the reasons are, that they're going to want to explore their options. And again, we're going to be supportive of everyone's happiness, and they're you know, wanting to be at Arizona State and committed to that and finding the guys that want to be here. But I don't see that significantly changing. And, you know, it's going to be different for me. I've had so many teams here that there wasn't that type of turnover in terms of guys leaving the program. But it's happening all across the country. And we'll see how it continues to play out. But I don't foresee it changing dramatically.
Hey, Coach, talking a little bit about what you said earlier with Jalen Graham expanding his game out to the three-point line, and of course the commitment of Enoch and just him being kind of athletic and having some guard skills at the big man position. How important do you think it is for the modern day big man to be able to shoot and have guard skills in terms of having success in college ball and then getting to the league?
Yeah, if you watched Jalen, especially towards the end of the year, second half of the year, and I think he was able to step away from the basket and take those 15, 17-foot jump shots, and we were very comfortable with him doing that. You'd see him, you know, maneuver with the basketball, facing up, and then using his footwork as he got closer to the hoop. So, you know, he's already demonstrated that he's comfortable doing those things. I hope that he continues to build on that, and we'll continue to encourage him to do that. His free throw percentage got better, especially second half of the season. He avoided foul issues, you know, far better in the second half of the season. So you're seeing progress there. And, you know, I think the more off season he could take advantage of to continue to put on weight, continue to, again, step away from the hoop and show that he could do that and with more comfortability, I think that'll be a great asset, you know, to add to his game. And he's at a point where he's a junior now, and he's been in the program 2 years, and I think he's excited about the possibilities of doing more things like that, and then also taking a leadership role. Like I like the things that he said about, you know, our practice habits during the season and practicing harder, and I think he was a good example of that second half of the year. He didn't just say it. I mean, you saw it you know, in real time when we were out on the floor. So I think he's got a chance to take another step, and I think this is a big off season for him to make that commitment.
Bobby, I remember last year you called Kamani just a major success story with what he was doing at the end of the year, the 2020 game. What things was he doing behind the scenes to enable the success that he had? And then also, what will just his presence and work ethic bring to next year's team coming back?
Yeah, I think Kamani is a great example that most people generally associate development and growth with freshmen or sophomores, and he's a guy that late in his career, you know, made some subtle adjustments to his shot, and he had been going through some things with his mechanics of his shooting throughout his career. And I think in the last 12 games, he really settled on a shot that makes sense for him. And it's rare that a guy could do that in midseason, which he did, and he repped it, and his free throw numbers improved dramatically. He was comfortable shooting a 15, 17-foot jump shot. And now I think that enabled him to unlock some other areas of his game and just play with more confidence. And, you know, he's going to work extremely hard on his shot, you know, throughout the spring and into the summer. And then his, you know, being comfortable on the perimeter, because I think I want to utilize his versatility at multiple positions. And so I know he's going to be on a mission to continue to develop and work on his shot.
Bobby, with all the roster turnover and obviously bringing in the transfers, bringing in some more height with your freshman recruits, do you expect the game style or the style of play of your team this fall to be much of a departure from last year and in years past that you've had at ASU?
I mean, it's a little bit early to tell because, again, I'll formulate those opinions as the whole group is here, and I get a chance to work with them through the summer and into the fall. And so I'm excited for that process to take place. But just overall, if you look at, I think, our team at the moment and guys in the program, I think we'll be geared a little more to be able to rebound better, to have better size on the floor at multiple positions, have experience on the floor. And I think people looked at our team last year as, hey, we're bringing Remy, we're bringing Verge back, and, you know, but we had a lot of inexperienced players in the program. And I think this year we'll have a number of guys that have played years in college basketball and, have that experience, and it'll just be our job to, bring it all together. But yeah, I'm curious to see what it looks like, and then we'll build towards our strengths and how we're planning on playing this year.
Good to see you, Coach. And when you talk about obviously losing, the transfer portal and what it meant nationally this year, but to lose two guys, obviously like Holland, Woods, and Jalen House, how do you think that affects obviously the team in general? And then I know you said this year, obviously with the open recruiting or the transfer portal, but does it kind of change recruiting for you personally a little bit going forward, just because to offer guys, but maybe save a scholarship or two for the transfer portal?
Yeah. First of all, I loved coaching Jalen House. He laid it out on the floor every time, and really, he's got a bright future, and I wish nothing but the best for him, and played so hard. And Holland, the same thing. Holland and I had great conversations leading up to his decision, and he has my full support, and I'll always pick up the phone if he calls me, if he needs anything. That kid's a great kid, and I'm rooting for those guys, except the one day probably in November or December, whenever we get that thing set. But certainly with regards to that, it opens up the door, and when you're doing presentations with a guy like Marion Jackson or DJ Horn at Illinois State, they see what our roster looks like. They see the track record of what Trey Holder and Shannon Evans and Remy Martin and Lou Dort have been able to do at Arizona State, and so it was a very, very attractive situation for those guys. So it's comforting for me to bring in a player again like Marion, that was a player of the year in his conference, and I coached in that league, and I know it's a legit league. And then also DJ Horn, who led his team in scoring and had great percentages from three in the foul line. So when you have that type of experience, even though they're new guys in the program, you understand they have a track record of production, which is great.
Mark McClune and Brad Sesmat.
Hey, Bobby, how has the role of analytics changed for your job since you arrived on campus? And how do you see kind of implementing analytics for the next couple of years here?
Yeah, I'm more of like an eye test guy personally, but certainly, we're going to look at the data and the numbers. I think, one of the things that was an analytical thing that we talked about quite a bit this year and maybe never got through to the team was the value of changing sides of the floor and our scoring numbers when we did something like that. I think if we changed sides of the floor more than 2 times, we were at like 1.6 points per game. And if we changed sides of the floor like 0 times in a game, we were like, 0.50 or something. So the efficiency of our offense was so much better when you analyze it and think about ball movement. And then you could apply analytics to so many different areas. We talk about deflections. We chart everything. So it's the data that you could get from those things is very important.
Bobby, who helped you most at that moment when you were talking earlier? You said, I've done some things that are unconventional, and you put the whiteboard up, and it sounded like you were out on an island. Who helped you most on that, 1? And 2, do you know Tommy Lloyd well, the new coach at U of A? So 2-part question.
Okay. Yeah, it's mainly, I think, my family. My wife, I don't think she appreciated having the whiteboard in our living room. It didn't fit with her whole theme for the house. But she understood how important it was for me to be able to look at it and think about it and to kind of never forget what happened this year, and to make me want to keep finding a way to fix it. My son and I had conversations about it. And certainly, but it was, I think initially, like I touched on, Coach Berno, he and I still speak every day about both our programs, and he obviously had an inside look into the things that went well and the things that didn't this year, and Coach Coleman as well, even though they moved on. So they were tremendous resources for me. As far as Tommy Lloyd and Arizona, I think it was a great hire. I think his track record speaks for itself, and the success he's been involved with for years at Gonzaga, is going to be a great addition to their program. And I'm looking forward to continuing to compete against Arizona, and I'm sure he'll bring a lot of ideas that were successful at Gonzaga. So I think he'll be great. I have not a chance to speak with Tommy. We're kind of playing phone tag, but certainly hoping the best for him and welcomed him to the Pac-12.
Hey, Coach,
Ethan,
just another question. Oh.
Go ahead, Ethan.
Okay. So just another question kind of off of the Jalen Graham that we were talking about earlier. How important do you think him expanding his game is to being successful in college ball and then getting to the NBA in a league that's become more space and pace?
I think versatility is going to be important, for anything. The NBA looks for guys that are interchangeable, that can guard multiple positions, that you can move them around a little bit. And I think Jalen has shown he's very comfortable and in the paint and making things happen around the basket, and his ability to block shots and all the things he does there. And so I think, adding more to his arsenal offensively, being able to step away and make plays for himself and teammates, and just further expanding, his role is going to be, a real asset for him down the line as he looks to the future for that. But I think he's a guy that's really embraced the moment and being here, and understands the importance of this offseason to take full advantage of it, to get ready for another season. Like when I say I don't want to go through another year like last year, I'm very serious about that, and he is as well. That's been our conversations that we've had.
Coach, you've talked about the incoming freshman, one of those being Will Felton, 6'9". Can you talk about your expectations for him and what role he might play?
Well, I mean, Will went to Hargrave Military this year. Was up at 6 a.m. In uniform. He was just telling me that they're concluding their school year soon, and he had a test where they were going to examine if his room was clean enough. So he had to get the toothbrush out to make sure certain areas in his room were up to the standard. So talking about a kid that's been through that type of environment, just really good character, good work ethic, great family. And he's going to be, again, hungry to get here, get on campus, work hard. He's got really good size. And so we got to continue to add guys on the front court that could help us, and certainly we'll have an opportunity to prove that this year.
Bobby, this summer with so many new pieces, what will be some of your focus on trying to harmonize all of that as quickly as possible and understand your personnel as best as possible?
Well, I could see myself doing more structured practice type stuff in July than I normally would. I think I'm very much skill development oriented in the summers, and trying to get better with your handle, with your shot, and teaching the pace and the tempo to which we practice with. I think our teams, our fitness, our conditioning has always been pretty elite in games because of the tempo of our workouts. So the guys will get a taste of that in the summer, but I think I'm going to expand and do more team oriented things than I normally would in a true off season, because of just the high number of guys that are unfamiliar with how we practice, our defensive philosophy, different drills that we're going to do to foster that environment. And then hopefully we're in a position to do more team building things in addition to what we do on the court, as hopefully COVID would get more phased out with vaccinations, later in the summer. I had 2 players at my house on Christmas this year because they couldn't go anywhere else out of town. I did it in my backyard, socially distanced, and the weather cooperated with that. but I usually have the team at my house at least like a dozen times during the year, and we never were able to do anything like that. So I'm just hopeful that with the new guys that we could not only get closer on the court, but be able to do things to foster a closer unit away from the court.
Bobby, obviously last year with injuries and the times that your team struggled with depth, you were still able to compete against UCLA, Oregon State, and USC in a lot of those games, and potentially almost pull out a win against teams like USC and UCLA. Was it reassuring to look at their performances in the NCAA tournament to see how far they went, the strength of the Pac-12, and compare your performances last season?
Well, I mean, first off, I'm really happy for all those teams. And again, most people would think, oh, he's probably slamming his head against the wall. No, I mean, I was extremely enthusiastic because the league's gotten beat up for a number of years. And nationally, just Pac-12 is not that good of a league. And and it hurt us in years here. Like, we shouldn't have been in Dayton a couple of years back after 12 wins in the conference and 22 wins in the regular season, and we have to go play in a play-in game. I think that was the byproduct of just not quite having the success in the tournament, and nationally the media just piggybacking on that. So to see teams advance and that we competed against, I think has changed the narrative a little bit. So I think it's going to provide an opportunity for us to, as a league, move forward better, to get more teams in the NCAA tournament. So that was great. Loved the story of Wayne Tinkle and what a great underdog story that was this year, to see his team perform the way they did, to go into the Pac-12 tournament, knowing they had to win it to get there, and they did it, and then to see them continue to win like they did, it was awesome to watch that. And again, UCLA is another really good one for us to get a Pac-12 team in the Final Four, and to play the game that they played versus Gonzaga was really exciting to watch that type of basketball. So, it stokes the fire to want to get this place in those type of moments, and that's the goal.
Awesome. I think we're good
at this point. Are you able to breathe now after those couple of crazy weeks?
Well, I mean, you never truly feel comfortable, and that's like everything's fine. So you're the whiteboard's not going anywhere; it's still staying in my house, and I'm going to keep staring at it. But I mean, there's still a few things in flux, with the roster, and I'm not certainly saying it's completely done, but it's very close to being completed. And there's one or two things that potentially could happen, with it in the future, but I feel really good about where it's at today.
Thanks, Coach.
Yep. All right. Hey, guys, I appreciate your time. It was great catching up, and look forward to doing it again here soon. Thank you.
Thanks.